Like making records, acting can be repetitious. You're in there until you get the right take. Say your lines spot on. But as an actor, you get to walk away from it. I don't worry about lighting the scene or editing it, or the background noise of some jet taking off from LaGuardia ruining the shot. It's almost like when I'm a vocalist making a record. In the best case, I walk into the studio. My producer already has the track up. I step in the vocal booth and do my thing. If that track ain't happening, he'll keep playing tracks until I say, "That's hot." And then I'll spit my lyrics, bounce. He'll call me up later on, say, "Yo, Ice, I got the mix. Come down and listen." When I show up for work on the SVU set, they've got the set lit, all the extras in place. I just walk in, say my lines, and walk away. Then magically, at least from my perspective, a few weeks later, it appears on NBC Wednesday nights. In episodic TV, we always say you're at the mercy of the script. Your day all depends on how heavily your character is written that week. A network television show takes 8 days to shoot one episode, and when you add 2 days for the weekend, you're shooting 3 episodes a month. One episode of SVU will have about 42 to 50 scenes. That's one ep. You could be in 48 scenes if you're Chris or Mariska. You could be in 10 scenes if you're me. But then, I'm not getting paid what Chris or Mariska get paid. They're number 1 and 2 on the call sheet. I'm number 5. If you take a job as a co-star on a TV show, you know from the jump that your workload is lower. If I shoot for 8 days, I might shoot 5 scenes one day, 5 scenes the next day, and then get the other 6 days off. Or I could shoot a scene a day over those 8 days. Mercy of that script. What a lot of people don't understand about episodic television is that you're not getting paid more when you act in more scenes and less when you're in fewer scenes. They sign you for the season, just like an NBA player. So over the course of those 23 episodes, you're going to get the same check even if you're not in an episode at all. Since you can't break out and do a movie or another long-term project, the network still has to pay you a salary. They're buying you and locking you down for the year. Frankly, I'm glad I'm not the star of every show like I was on Players. As cool as Finn is, I think if he was on screen too much, people would get tired of the character. It was the same for me in the early days of my hip-hop career. One time when we were doing this big show in New York with Houdini as the headliners, and I was doing my set right before them, I'll never forget. I told Jaleel Hutchins, "Yo, one day I'll be up here. I'll be getting top billing." He pointed at the middle of the poster and said, "Yo, man, it's safer there." I knew exactly what he meant. If you're the middle act rather than the headliner and the show's a big hit, you can take some of the credit. But if the show's a flop, you just blame it on the bigger names. That's my same position on SVU. If the show's a big hit, I get some of the credit. If it bombs, I say, "Okay, but I wasn't the star." The biggest irony of my life for the past 10 years is that more people recognize me for playing Finn, this streetwise NYPD detective, than remember the whole cop killer controversy. Cops are now some of my biggest fans. You find that police in the real world are just like normal people. The cops I meet who are in their 20s today are way too young to remember Cop Killer. Even during the heat of that madness, a lot of police went out of their way to prove to me that they weren't the cop I was singing about, that they were by-the-book officers, not some rogue cops engaged in police brutality. After landing these gigs in New Jack City and Law and Order, of course, there's always going to be dumb people out there saying, "Ice, first you're killing police, now you're playing cops. What's up with that?" Man, shut the fuck up. You stuck on stupid? I'm acting, dude. I am not a cop. I've never arrested nobody. I've never read anybody their Miranda rights or slapped them in cuffs. Check it. This is something I just was discussing with the inmates in Sing Sing when I went there to talk with them. A few years back, I was asked to give the commencement address for the guys behind the wall who'd graduated from university. Cats there were getting bachelor's and master's degrees. And we recently went back to Sing Sing to do a follow-up. Most of these guys were lifers, or doing 25-year, 30-year, 40-year bids. We were chopping it up, exchanging game, swapping war stories, because that's where I really get information from. If you're in business, it doesn't help you much to talk to someone who's been in business 1 year. You need to talk to someone who's been in business for 30 years. We're talking about haters, and one of these hard rocks lays it on me. Yo, Ice, all these motherfuckers giving you shit about playing a cop, trust me, they use the cops. All these motherfuckers, all these gangsters, they all use the cops. So fuck that old bullshit. That's posturing and posing. That's just them trying to make themselves look good at your expense. Don't sweat it. Real motherfuckers know that you getting cheddar. And ain't an inmate in prison who wouldn't come out and walk on that TV show for a job. I get this shit all the time, especially in the age of YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Oh, Ice-T used to be down with the little man, some guy posted online. Now he's down with the system. I got news for you, dog. The system is a monster. Sooner or later, you're going to have to learn how to work it. There is no overturning or overrunning the system. You need to learn to manipulate it. Even if you're a gangster, there is still a system. But you get those haters, especially when you're an entertainer. Pick any name in the public eye, like The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, for example. You'll get these people saying, "Remember The Rock? He was a badass in wrestling, but he went soft. Now he does corny kids movies." Well, check it, idiot. When The Rock was wrestling, that was a character too. Same way he's playing a tooth fairy. But I try to remember what my mother was always saying back in Summit. People are stupid. Real talk. Making the transition to the regimented schedule of network TV was rough at first. I was used to the freedom of my life in LA, running my own record label, calling my own shots, doing concerts on my schedule, and taking movie roles if I was feeling the script. And this might sound crazy, but I honestly don't think I could have developed and sustained a successful career on a network drama if I didn't understand the word of pimping and hoeing. See, the pimp game often translates into the broader world. It's like this. Either you work for somebody or you have them working for you. Now, I work for NBC. I don't get the lion's share of the money. I don't make a fraction of what that corporation makes. But I'm happy to do it. I love the gig. All of us who work in the entertainment business brag on who we work for. I'm on NBC. Dick Wolf's a legend in this game. Well, I'm on ABC. We've been #1 for years. That's like hoes bragging on their pimps. Yeah, I brag on Dick Wolf, brag on his reputation. I don't care who you are. Everybody wants to work for the flyer pimp. I had dinner with Dick Wolf recently in Monte Carlo. I'm not going to front. I was excited to sit down with the boss. The man is the man. Sometimes you're lucky. You've got a good pimp. Dick Wolf is cool. He don't whoop me, but don't get it twisted. Don't mistake what it really is, ever. If you're not bringing home the lion's share of the check, in a sense, you're hoeing. The key thing is that you don't mistake pimping for hoeing. When you hoeing, know that you hoeing. One of the primary rules in pimping is that you never treat a hoe better than the money she brings in. When I had a record deal with Warner Brothers and they were rubbing my neck, telling me how I was the bomb, when Prince walks in, all of a sudden, they'll throw my fucking ass out and the platinum records on the wall will magically change to Prince records. All that rubbing of the neck, sweet talking, bullshitting, yo, that's pimping. I've got the same situation with my employers at NBC Universal. Does NBC really love me? Or does it just love the money I'm bringing in? If I stopped bringing in money, man, they wouldn't even accept my phone calls. Here's one real jewel from the game. Pimps and hoes don't fall in love. They make love. I like to use the strip club example because most men won't cop to having been with a hooker, but they will admit they've been to the strip club. When you're in the club, that girl giving you lap dances, looking into your eyes, doesn't love you. She's making love to you. Your dumbass thinks she loves you and you give her all your money. Sorry, she doesn't give a shit about you, dog. The big bosses at NBC don't love me. They make love to me. They act like they love me because my fucking show is making money. I'm putting millions of dollars into their bank account. I'm a top shelf hoe. but I'm still a hoe. But dig, all actors in Hollywood are hoes, as long as they're making the studios and networks money. If you hear some studio executive saying, "Oh, Megan Fox is hot," they don't want to fuck her. They want to know how many guys will pay $10 to come to the theater to see her. She's valuable only in as much as she can make them some paper. I'm not naive enough to think they actually care about any of us. We could drop dead tomorrow. They don't give a fuck. Oh, they'll cry, all right. But the only thing they'll cry over is the money they lost. Now, when you blow up to the level of Will Smith or Tyler Perry, when you run your own successful production company, then you start to pimp yourself. That's where the real Hollywood power is. If you understand the essence of that game, you won't get caught out there. You won't start catching feelings. Sure, it may be cynical, cold-blooded, but for me, the value of understanding the pimp game is seeing life, all shapes and forms of human interaction, for what it truly is, not what you might wish it to be. One thing I've learned from straddling two worlds: Hollywood is way more gangster than the streets. Hollywood is way colder, way more vicious. When I first started doing TV and movies, I never saw people get fired the way they do in show business. I never saw the coldness of the producers. They just don't care about anybody. I suppose it's because they don't deal with the same ramifications as you do on the streets. They can hide behind attorneys and lawsuits. It's a whole other set of rules. With just a glance or a nod from the boss on the set, a producer will get his ass fired. The next day, boom, there's a new producer sitting in his chair. The gangster of it is, I'm not even gonna fire you, dude. You won't even know it's coming. The boss is smiling the whole time, acting like everything's cool. In the street, we call that rocking somebody to sleep. I've learned so much hardcore gangsterism from show business. As a black street gangster, if I don't like you, trust me, you'll know it. That's something the Italian mob had over us. Black people often have a problem disguising our anger. It comes down to this: the higher you go up the mountain, the colder it gets. I've been around some of the most ruthless gangsters in the streets of South Central LA, but I've never seen anything like Hollywood's gangsterism. In the studios, they're dealing with billions of dollars. On the streets, you're dealing with hundreds of thousands of dollars. When cats are dealing with billions of dollars, anybody, I mean anybody, is expendable. This audiobook is continued on Disc 6.